Rolling.
All right,
Roll. Roll.
Hello and welcome to episode 3 of Queer Peer Reviews. My name is Jamie, I am your host, and here at Queer Peer Reviews we review everything good, bad, and ugly about queer media. Today with me is my co-host Jordan.
And here at Queer Peer Reviews, we review your favorites and not so favorites, movies, TV shows, video games, everything and anything that features queer themes, queer characters, or just gay.
So today on Queer Peer Reviews, we are going to be reviewing Netflix's 2020 original film, The Half of It. This features an Asian American queer character named Ellie Chu.
Now, Ellie Chu in this story is a gifted writer. She is seen handing out essays where she's writing everyone's essays. She's like the nobody that's able to get away with this.
Yeah, everyone just talks to her because they're using her. But fun fact about that opening scene is an actress from my senior thesis film in college, Karen McCaffrey. She plays Trombone Girl. So that's just a fun fact about this film.
And this 2 seconds cameo she gets.
Yes, we'll feature her in this little clip right here.
Despite not being so popular, people do know of her. So people know that she's a good writer, which is when she and her future friend come into play. He approaches her. What's his name again?
Paul. So yeah, one day while Ellie is coming home from school, Paul kind of chases after her. He's like, hey, I need your help. He wants her to write a letter to her school crush, Astrid.
From Paul's perspective, he is not a good talker and definitely not a good writer. And he fears that if he sends this letter, he will lose the girl.
It's very bad. But yeah, at first she declines helping him because that's her crush, and she is more of, oh, these love letters, they need to be authentic. But then they kind of are authentic because she has feelings for Astrid.
But this also blossoms the game of writing letters back and forth. Of course, Ellie Chu is masquerading as Paul throughout it, but everything that she's doing is her true feelings. Mm-hmm. But Astrid just thinks it's Paul the whole time.
Yeah, so this story takes place in Squamish, which I believe is in upstate New York. It's a very religious town, so Ellie isn't exactly out to her community. I don't think anybody actually knows. And you kind of get hints that Astrid is also a queer character from the very beginning, but she's currently dating her boyfriend. I forget his name. But yeah, she's dating a guy. Paul has feelings for her, and so does Ellie.
Eventually, Ellie and Astrid start to communicate via text message. This creates a more one-to-one point of contact between the two and really allowing this fake romance to blossom.
Yeah, and keep in mind that Astrid still thinks this is Paul.
This is honestly kind of really screwing with Elliot the whole time.
Yeah.
And Ellie, not Elliot. Just because she's starting to lose the grasp that she is not Paul, that she's been lying to Astrid this whole time, but her feelings are really getting stronger. So she's setting herself up for a major heartbreak.
Oh, 100%. And I think at some point, when Paul and Ellie's relationship starts growing more, they start going out and following Astrid and seeing everything she does, learning more about her, which I think is kind of creepy because Ellie works at a train yard with her father, and in one of the abandoned trains, they just start writing a bunch of notes about Astrid, what they notice about her, where she goes every day.
Shots of them just peeking at her through the shelves at a food store.
Yes.
Who cares if it's stalkerish? I mean, they're in love,
it's
right?
Love is an excuse to be creepy, right?
Right.
No?
Through the text messaging, they eventually start to talk about art because Astrid has a love for art. Mm-hmm. And there's this theme of a bold stroke that gets brought up because Astrid had a quote where the difference between a good painting and a great painting is just 5 strokes, and you need to be brave enough to make those bold strokes that could potentially ruin your good painting. Ellie incites a nice game of spray paint tag with Astrid, where she leaves some spray paint cans for her and Astrid to make different strokes, change each other's painting, see what they could create. But they eventually create a really beautiful just angel. It's a woman reaching out, and then of course it gets
just
covered
ruined.
Up. And they just write everything beautiful ends on it, which I think is very important to this movie because we get to see a lot of beautiful things that come to an end, but just because it ended doesn't mean that what it was wasn't beautiful.
Yeah, I think that kind of plays to the right person, wrong time type of motif. And speaking of the arts, I also want to dive into Paul and Ellie's friendship. There's a scene where Ellie has to go perform in a concert, one of her original songs, and before they go to the concert, they actually pick out an outfit together. And while Paul doesn't know that Ellie is a queer character, he knows that she has a more masculine side. So when she picks out a dress, he goes, "Oh, you don't look like yourself, all girly." So he picks out this like outfit with pants and everything. She looks more herself, and I really like that Paul notices that stuff about her.
See, I like that you brought that up because to me, this is kind of advertised as a rom-com, but to me, at the end of the day, it felt less like a romantic comedy and more like one of those friendship comedies where the true romance isn't Ellie and Astrid, it was Ellie and Paul, but not romantically.
Yeah,
they found each other as friends.
So let's move on to the scene that's after the concert when Paul brings Ellie to a party. There's this one thing about that scene that I just want to point out is that when Ellie arrives at the party, she's approached by this girl wearing a beanie and a flannel who compliments Ellie's nails. And mind you, Ellie has nothing special going on with her nails. She has plain, dirty worker nails. And this girl just approaches her. And if you're trying to tell me that that was not a queer character, and nothing further happened with that, and I felt like I was cheated out of something.
I'm sorry, Ellie established the fact that it was just biker grease that she can't get out of her nails, which means that like the back of her nails is just pure black. If there is one in the closeted queer person, there's more than likely 10, 12, a ton of kids there who just can't speak their mind.
Yeah, but come on. Complimenting girls' nails, wearing a flannel and a beanie. It was right there. But
it's the motor grease.
It was right there. It was.
Lesbian.
It was.
At the party, she gets drunk, and this is where you get to see some of how sweet Paul can be towards Ellie, where he also brought her home, set her up in his bed while he took the couch, and then Astrid walks in to Ellie in his bedroom.
Dun dun dun.
I mean, crisis averted. Everyone knows that Ellie's clearly not into Paul. How could they get together? So
she is gay.
They don't know that yet.
Sorry, go ahead. Continue.
Astrid's gay. Or Ellie's gay. Who's gay?
Wait.
They're all straight, actually.
Are you gay?
No, just half of it. Okay, so Astrid enters, and she wanted to give a painting to Paul, and this is where Ellie gets to see the painting, and she makes just a quick comment. It's like, I really like this stroke that you do off to the left. It's very, like, lonely. Lonely.
Lots of hints.
There are lots of hints, but this is also where you kind of see Astrid maybe piecing things together. She's now saying something that she's seen from the text messages, from her letters, something that Paul has never said, not in person at least.
I agree with that, but at the same time, we're going to talk about it in an upcoming scene. I feel like she doesn't get it. I feel like it kind of still goes over her head a little more, because we'll talk about it more later, but in the end, she's kind of like, "Oh, it was you?" But I don't know. I don't know.
I mean, people can have that inkling in the back of their head. Like, it can be there, but they don't want to accept it, because to accept that would be to accept that you've been flirting with a girl.
And that is a no-no in Squamish. So yeah, I believe both of them had plans to hang out with Paul that day too, but then they just ditch Paul to go hang out with each other. They do a few things in between this and the next scene, but they wind up going to a hot spring together, alone in a secluded forest. And then there's this one part where Astrid comes up to Ellie super close and is like, "Oh my god, are you layered?" And then she takes off her shirt.
Hold up. No, you're just skipping over the fact that to go swimming, Astrid just strips naked, or at least into her underwear. But you know what?
Yeah.
I didn't see any straps when they're in that hot tub, so I think Astrid just stripped naked.
Yeah. And if that's not sapphic as fuck, I don't know what is. But to go back to what I was saying, she takes off Ellie's shirt, but Ellie has another shirt underneath. She was kind of just like, oh, why are you layered? And then they cut to another scene where Astrid has the shirt on that she just took off of Ellie.
I didn't notice that.
Yeah, there's gonna be a clip playing right here. She has on the shirt she took off of Ellie, and I don't know the reasoning behind it, but
You know
come
what?
on.
Gay.
Gay.
Ooh, gay.
So the next day, they go to Paul's game in which he scores the winning touchdown, I believe. So he finds Ellie in the locker room later, and he wants to tell her something. And Ellie, being the little gay that she is not expecting what's about to happen next.
No, she thought that they were true friends, and she had every right to believe that Paul was in love with Astrid. Gave no inkling that his entire emotion switched to her throughout all of this.
Nope. Paul goes and kisses Ellie, and in the reflection of the vending machine that they are next to, you see Astrid just witness the whole thing. But you don't really know, is she upset because she saw Ellie kiss Paul and she's jealous of Paul, or is she jealous of Ellie?
I mean, they never establish Astrid's sexuality in this movie at all. It's left very ambiguous on exactly how she goes about it. Is she gay? Is she bi? Is she pan? Like, we don't know.
So then Paul tells Ellie, it's a sin, you're going to hell. And that kind of shatters Ellie's spirits because this guy's been her best friend throughout this entire movie.
Yeah, with Paul's realization that she's gay and him struggling with the fact that he does come from a very Christian family. The minute that he found out that she was gay, that she's constantly sinning. It's not just a I don't believe, it's like a I don't believe and I am going to be like
partake
this.
in this sinning. But yeah, it's also heartbreaking for Paul because I guess he would feel betrayed because this whole time, this girl that's been helping him is also
In love with the person that
he's in love with as well.
But, I mean, despite that, it doesn't stop the fact that he was her friend, and later on, he's trying to grasp it on his own. He looks up, like, what does it mean to be gay? What are the stages that you know you're gay? He does his research, which is more than a lot of people would do.
Yeah, and the comedic part about that is that he closes his laptop and his mom goes into his room to clean up, and I think she opens it and she sees the "Am I gay?" or "How to Know You're Gay" search on his Google. Later in the movie, towards the end, we kind of end towards the church.
During the service or sermon, Astrid's boyfriend, douche
Nozzle.
Hey. He decides to interrupt and asks Astrid a very important question.
Hi, girl in high school. Will you marry me?
Not even graduated
Didn't
high school
even graduate
yet.
high school yet. I don't even know what time of the year it is. Yeah, so after he interrupts, I think that's when Ellie stands up and starts talking. I forget exactly what she says, but
This is where she brings up
the
one
strokes.
bold stroke.
Yeah, and I believe she says,
Ellie.
is this the boldest stroke you could make? And that's when Astrid looks at her and says, it was you this whole time. And she slowly walks up to Paul, gives him a big ol' slap on the face.
It was a well-deserved slap.
Yeah.
They lied to her.
And she walks out of the church. And that's a callback to Paul's mom. Says, honey, if you're gay, it's okay. And he goes, Mom,
I'm not gay."
gay.
Oh, thank God.
So after the church scene, we go back to like a week later, a few days later maybe. Astrid is walking out of a building, and that's when Ellie kind of meets with her to apologize for the whole thing and say goodbye because she's off to college. At first, Astrid can't even look at her.
You get to find out where both of them are going. Ellie is going to the college that'll set her up for something better. And Astrid, versus what she was about to do a couple weeks ago, which was stay in Squamish and marry a guy she doesn't love, she's deciding to go to art school. I guess they both kind of decided to make their bold stroke in life. Of course, it wasn't with each other.
No. But Astrid does say, it's not like the thought never crossed my mind, which is kind of obvious because of that whole hot spring scene.
She got naked.
Tell me that's not gay.
And then before they leave, Ellie runs up, gives Astrid a kiss, and says, I'll see you in a couple years.
Yeah, because give her time to marinate on that.
So with Astrid and Ellie, their beautiful kiss, this kind of goes back to, again, to that painting motif, that one bold stroke, but also everything beautiful ends. Astrid and Ellie, they shared that beautiful kiss, they had that beautiful lying romance, and then it came to an end. But it was good that it happened, because it made them both grow in a better version of themselves.
And that kind of promotes Astrid to kind of figure herself out during this time apart from Ellie. And if she does return, she'll either know what she wants or she'll never see Ellie ever again. All right, and let's get to the ratings. So here at Queer Peer Reviews, we are going to be rating everything we do out of 5 categories, each out of 10, giving us a grand total of 100.
Let's start with representation. We're here to judge how well we think the half of it portrayed its queer themes and characters.
So for representation, we give it
7?
I give it a 7.9.
7.9.
Oh, you gave
I
it more
gave
than
it
I
less.
did. I thought you were going to rate it higher.
Oh. Yeah, I gave it a 7 because, again, I thought 8 was a little too high. It got at 7 strictly because of Ellie. I loved Ellie as a character. I related to her because she didn't really, just with the world she was living in, kind of being hidden with the whole Christians, it was believable. And she, to me, seemed very much like how I was. So, but then you had Astrid, whose representation, it was different. Because she was just like someone who didn't have a grasp of what her sexuality was, and that's okay. But she didn't portray that she didn't have a grasp of it either. So, I felt like that was lacking.
Yeah, I know you're going to know what I'm going to say. I feel like I was kind of queer-baited with Astrid. I could go into a long tangent about that, but I feel like it was there, what Ellie and Astrid had, but it wasn't enough for me. I feel like at the end, she kind of brushes it off, like, oh, it's not like the thought hasn't crossed my mind. It kind of gives me straight girl that's leading on gay girl. But Ellie is what brought me up to a 7.9, and I cannot give it anything higher than that, because I feel like I was lied to.
That's fair.
All right, so the next topic is the closet scale. If we were still in the closet, how comfortable would this movie make us feel about coming out? So for the closet scale, we give it, I do not feel comfortable. What did you give it?
Okay, you know, together it gets a 10.
It does get a 10.
It does get a 10, but we needed to do some math for that.
No, you will not be getting a 10 from me. I felt very, very targeted in this. I feel like if I lived in Squamish, I would immediately move out. I didn't come out till I was 21, but if I were to come out in high school, I feel like I would, lots of hate crimes would happen my way.
I mean, Ellie did get out of the town, so at least she did leave. For me, like, as a coming out story, it wasn't a coming out story. This, like, she didn't really come out. Did we get a scene of her coming out to her father at all?
No, and that's what I did not like. I felt like there was a huge story about how close she was with her dad, how she supported her dad.
And then, like, Paul saying that you see her, but you don't truly see her. You don't know who she is, so you would expect.
But I feel like that wasn't even referring to her sexuality. I feel like that was just what she wants in life. Like, she wants to go to school. She wants to become a writer.
That's a good point.
Yeah, I don't think the coming out story to her dad, it was just never happened. Unless he already knew, but I don't think that was the case.
And then you had a character like Astrid, who is actually struggling with her sexuality, whatever, she's confused. And you don't get any actual coming out of that either. She's just like, the thoughts crossed my mind.
Yeah.
So, not inspiring.
I am not comfortable.
Alrighty, and then what our ratings for originality are... Wait, what did you...
Oh, 6.
Hey! How are we going
Wait. Squamish. Don't look. That's what I think of Squamish.
To me, this story, which I did love, I really did enjoy this movie, but as far as originality goes, the whole friendship romance, that's been done everywhere. The only thing that made this unique was the fact that you had a gay character.
What I thought would have made it more original is if they stuck to what the trailer was promoting. They make it seem like Ellie does come out to Paul very early in the story, and it becomes a story of the two of them. Like I said, the lesbian and lesbian protector trope.
So I guess the end of the day is we've seen this movie before.
We have seen this movie before. So for writing, we give it
7.5.
7.5. I could have been meaner, but I have my reasons why I wasn't.
You could have been. I gave it an 8.9. I finally used the point.
Nice. So why do you give it an 8.9?
Like I said, I actually did enjoy this movie. Just because it wasn't original doesn't mean that the writing wasn't very well done. I really liked the themes throughout it, the constant mentions of poetry, the Greek mythology in the beginning, how it kind of came full circle around. I thought it was just very well thought out, and I thought that the dialogue was very well written.
Yeah, I really like the dialogue as well. I love all of the quotes, the poems that are in there. The art scene, really, it was one of my favorite scenes. It was very well written. I guess what I would have liked more, explore more of the queer theme.
So just not enough gay.
Not enough gay. It doesn't have to be all gay, but I feel like it was advertised as gay, but they gave us only the half of it. And for our overall feelings towards the half of it, we give it
a 9?
I give it a 7.9.
I mean, as I said, I liked this movie. I thought it was very well done. It had some shortcomings with its whole, like, handling queer in it. But otherwise, just all around, it was a good story, and it was enjoyable to watch. And that's all that matters.
Yeah.
Did you have fun?
Yes, I did have fun. I did have fun. Like I said, I did watch it 3 times. If I hated the movie, I probably wouldn't have, and I would have stick to my original feelings towards it. Like I said, I feel like I was cheated, but I really did have fun with it. I really liked the story that was between Paul and Ellie. I also really like the cinematography. There's some beautiful shots in here.
There are.
Yeah, and like the coloring of everything. I thoroughly enjoyed it, but not enough for me to give it more than a 7.9. But I would recommend it. I just don't get your hopes up, because you will be let down, fellow Sapphics. All right, so after those ratings, we're gonna be getting our QPR total from our straight ally crew member, Trayvon. Trayvon, what do we got?
Okay, so for the half of it on Netflix, the total score from both of you is 70.2.
Ooh, a 70.2.
Okay.
That, what is that? Is that a C?
I would say it's at least a B-.
It's a B-. All right. That is a 70.2. Obviously, you could tell we both had very different opinions about it, but it's okay. We don't need to agree on everything. So thank you for watching episode 3 of Queer Peer Reviews, where we reviewed the half of it on Netflix. You can watch it today.
So, yes, go and pay Netflix however amount they want to charge you nowadays, because that's going up. And you get to watch the half of it.
So in the description below, we will be including links to the Trevor Project and a bunch of other fundraisers you can help donate to. But yeah, subscribe to us, follow us on Twitter and on Instagram, and we'll see you next time.
And hit that like button.